This is my favorite.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you before I say it that it enraged me. There is a definite anti-white feeling in the country right now.
Oh, please.
Yeah, that's what he said. You know, sir.
No. Sir?
Yeah, sir. Nobody in your family was hung.
This video is brought to you by sat123.com, sat123.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's invaluable for you to have a satellite phone. Let me tell you a quick story. My pastor was hiking from way up in northern Arizona, which is the border of Utah, all the way down to Mexico. He was hiking with his daughter, got into a serious accident. A boulder rolled over his hips, almost rolled over his head and killed him. Thank God he was able to rescue his daughter, but he needed a sat phone. If he was just relying on a cell phone, he would have been dead, unfortunately. But his daughter had a sat phone. They were able to get first responders to show up and help him. And let me tell you another thing. Cell phones only cover 7% of the earth. Satellite phones cover 100% of the earth. So whether you're hiking, whether you're, saving yourself for when everything hit the fan and you need to be off the grid and you need a cell phone connection, the sat phone is perfect for that. 123 or sat123.com. That's sat123.com. Let me tell you guys the plans that are available. You can get the Iridium 9555 at no cost if you sign up for a 24-month agreement at sat123.com. Monthly is $95.95. There's also discounts for family shared plans with up to 3 free phones, and they are available as well. So go to sat123.com. That's sat123.com. Get you a satellite phone. It'll save your life. Like and subscribe to the channel. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. All right, I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. I'm going to play that clip from Whoopi Goldberg because her talking is probably better than me reading it. Clip 2.
Now to this.
The dreaded.
In a new interview released this morning, you know who told Time magazine what he would do if he gets back in the White House. Things like this. He's going to let states monitor a woman's pregnancy.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
He's going to deploy the military to deport migrants.
And the Mexicans are going to pay for it.
And he's going to absolutely consider pardoning January 6 rioters.
Of course.
Now, he was also asked if he thinks there will be political violence if he loses, and he answered, it depends.
Is he referring to something he was wearing?
You're on fire already.
So is this, there's also, this is my favorite.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you before I say it that it enraged me. There is a definite anti-white feeling in the country right now.
Oh, please.
Yeah, that's what he said. You know, sir.
No. Sir?
Yeah, sir. Nobody in your family was hung. Nobody in your family was chased because of the color of their skin. How dare you? There's no anti-white issue here. You are perpetrating anti-humanist issues here. So the question is he the future? Is he the future? Well, I gotta ask.
Yeah.
That's the gig. They pay me.
So I read this big time interview this morning, and it's Trump in his own words saying these scary things. But I wasn't as taken aback as I should be, because for the last 4 years, myself, others who spoke out against him have been saying literally line by line what he's saying in his own words in this piece. And it is devastating to me that that is not resonating with Republicans, a party I've been a member of my whole life, that they're just not believing it. The other day, Bill Barr, the former attorney general, was asked about something I had stated where Trump said that somebody should be executed because they leaked a bad story about him. And he basically was like, I don't recall that. But on other occasions, he said stuff like that. But we shouldn't take him literally. No, the things he says we should take literally. And I've said this 1,000 times. There won't be guardrails next time. There won't be Mark Esper. There won't be John John Kelly, there won't be Jim Mattis.
That article.
He says he's going to only hire loyalists and people who say that the last election is stolen. So he's admitting he's going to staff a White House and the entire federal government with either liars or lunatics. It is very scary, and I just want to underscore, because I want Trump to lose. He and Joe Biden are neck and neck. It is very real that in 7 months we will wake up to President-elect Donald Trump, and that should be scary for every American.
It is scary.
Why does she look like a monkey to me? She look like a primitive monkey. Not only because the stupid stuff she's saying in her mouth, primarily the stupid stuff she's saying in her mouth, she just kind of looked like a monkey. Anyway, what her claiming that there's no anti-white sentiment is racist in and of itself. This woman is too grown and too old to be that stupid. What do you mean your family wasn't lynched or hung from a tree? White people were hung too. White people were lynched too. When you look at the history of lynching in the country, there's about 3,200 blacks were lynched and 1,200 whites were lynched. 1,200 white people were lynched in historical documentation of lynching in America. Now, there was more blacks, but white people were lynched too. What are y'all saying? These people are so stupid to me. They act like white folks was just getting along. Hey, do you not remember the Civil War? You know how many white people died in the Civil War? Hundreds of thousands. There was over 100,000 white people that died in the Civil War. Can black people say the same? Come on, shut up, man. We at some point we all been slaves. At some point we all been victors over slavery. At some point. How far back you want to go in history? That's the only question. How far back you want to go in history? And I hate it. I hate it with a strong passion when people say, well, black people were slaves. Well, why weren't y'all complaining when black people were enslaving other black people? Y'all act like white people invented slavery. Black people enslaved black people and sold them to white people and others. Y'all act like the white man moved to Africa, decided to come up with the slave trade, enslaved Africans and sold them to other whites. Man, black people were scalping and enslaving other black people from the beginning of time. Pharaoh and the Egyptians, they were black. They were black. One reason it's in Africa, but Egypt, they were dark-skinned people. Pharaoh was a dark-skinned person. All of the slaves that they had were dark-skinned people. That's how they can make them work out in the sun like they were doing. Slave forever. Then you got other African tribes enslaving others, and they ended up creating the slave trade. But y'all mad at white people. Then majority of the slaves were in South America, not North America. Y'all mad at North American white people. In the North in America, slavery, there was no such thing as slavery in the North. It was illegal. There was slavery in the South. So even in North America, they didn't have the most slaves. Half of the country that we know it today didn't have slaves. Do we want to keep going? Black people own slaves too. White people were lynched too. You too grown to be this stupid. And then all these white folks risked their life to help Harriet Tubman free the black people. Where did they go? Whoopi Goldberg. Did they go back to Africa? No, they went to the North where black people were free. Harriet Tubman was married to a man who was free. She lived with him when she started the Underground Railroad. You too grown to be this stupid. And then let's move forward. Who freed black people? White people. Black people didn't liberate black people. White people freed black people. Who gave black people the right to vote? White folks, because black people didn't have the right to vote for their right to vote. Who abolished slavery? White folks. After hundreds of thousands of them died in the Civil War. In the country that never believed in slavery and never owned slaves and slavery was illegal in, the North, they won. The legacy of the North continued to what we now know as America. So the people that never owned slaves won, and now we're living the legacy out of the people that never owned slaves. So if you look at the lineage of the North, you see the North never had slaves, and now the North took over the United States of America. They never had slaves. That from the time the Northerners began to today, there's never been slavery, and y'all don't want to acknowledge that. And then the people that own the slave were the Democrats. You too grown to be that stupid. And you saying there's no anti-white sentiment. People are coming out and calling death to white folks. Everywhere you turn, the white man is the enemy. She just said something that's anti-white. Your people are never were lynched. You are disrespecting the white people that were lynched in this country by acting as if it never happened. You are essentially deleting their past and their history. Come on, people. Continuing on the segment, you too grown to be this stupid. Let's roll clip 1 from Nicole Wallace.
Said
One of the nicer traditions about Washington for a night at least, the President of the United States dines and then tries to entertain assembled members of the Free Press. The annual White House Correspondents' Dinner is one of the symptoms, one of the signs of a healthy, functioning democracy. A one-night only hiatus from the normal in Washington and an opportunity to suspend those more formal aspects of the relationship between a president and the news media. It's a coming together, and at its core, the president doing everything right celebrates and honors a free press. Behind the levity, though, there was something darker, a darker undercurrent, if you will, and a point that the president had to make, and it was more profoundly serious. Because at this exact time next year, depending on what happens in November, 7 months from now, we can't say for certain that there would even be a White House Correspondents' Dinner, or even a free press, or even a White House press corps, right? You don't have to have one. It could be another norm Trump blows up. The stakes of the 2024 election were a living, breathing subplot of this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner. It came up in the jokes, came up in the inherent contrast between President Joe Biden there in the room and the coup-plotting, openly autocratic modeling of himself, Donald Trump, who wants to replace him. The ever-hilarious superstar, Colin Jost, of Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live, finished his remarks on a serious note as well. He told a story about why his grandfather, outside President Joe Biden's demographics, voted for Biden.
My grandfather, a Staten Island firefighter, voted for you, Mr. President. He voted for you in the last election that he ever voted in. I mean, I'm sure someone else will vote twice in this election using his name, but that's just how the Democratic machine works. He voted for you, and the reason that he voted for you is because you're a decent man.
Decency. President Joe Biden, meanwhile, finished his remarks on a serious note as well. Watch.
The defeated former president has made no secret of his attack on our democracy. He said he wants to be a dictator on day one, and so much more. He tells supporters he is their revenge and retribution. When in God's name have you ever heard of another president say something like that? And he promised a bloodbath when he loses again. We have to take this seriously. 8 years ago, you could have written off it as just Trump talk, but no longer, not after January 6th. So tonight, I'd like to make a toast. To a free press, to an informed citizenry, to an America where freedom and democracy endure. God bless America.
I've seen that toast a bunch of times, but it landed very differently this year because depending on what happens in November, 7 months from right now, this time next year, I might not be sitting here. There might not be a White House Correspondents' Dinner or a free press. While our democracy wouldn't exactly fall apart immediately without it, the real threat looms larger. A candidate with outward disdain, not just for a free press, but for all of our freedoms and for the rule of law itself.
I hope they burn in hell. I hope they burn in hell. You too grown to be that stupid. And it's not that they stupid, it's that they brainwashing us. That lady know god dog well that Donald Trump ain't finna get in the office and overthrow the First Amendment. You know better than that. But you evil. So you just saying whatever you think you want to say because you evil. If I used to always wonder, man, how do people go to hell and stuff? That seemed like such fun. Because people like that, they evil. That woman woke up today, or whenever she made it, and she thought to herself, I know the president can't overthrow the First Amendment. I know the president can't get rid of free speech in this country. I know that it's impossible to happen. It's a constitutional right. A president does not have the authority to unilaterally change the Constitution. Now she woke up with a latte and soy in her hand, and said, I know that I'm finna lie today. And I don't care who it hurt. I don't care if it hurt him. I don't care if it hurt the reputation of Trump supporters. I don't care what repercussions is going to come from the words that are coming out of my mouth, but I'm going to say it anyway. I know better, but I'm going to say it anyway because the ends justify the means. People like that are dangerous. People that don't count the cost for the things that they say are dangerous and evil. Whoopi Goldberg know better than what she said. Nancy Pelosi, old frozen face self, she know better than what she's talking about. She tried to attribute all of the job losses during the pandemic to Donald Trump and all of the reintroduction back into the workforce after they got rid of the pandemic, attributed that to Joe Biden. These people are evil, stupid, ignorant. And I hope they burn in hell. And I know it sounds harsh, but this country would be such a better place if it wasn't for evil people like this. We could all get along. We could all have a fair, objective pick of the president of the United States of America, but we can't because these evil devils get on television knowing that they lying and continuing to push a lie. Hold the phone.